We believe social features are an important next step for gameplay on Alexa. Broadly speaking, connecting players with each other helps to amplify games via organic discovery, as players invite friends to play and thereby extend the reach of your game to new potential players. The addition of social features can also increase engagement, as customers have more ways to play beyond a solo player experience and may spend more time taking their turns against friends and family. Social features may also act as a powerful retention driver, as customers are pulled back into games by friends to play a new game or take their turn in an existing one. This is why we are bringing new social gaming functionality to Alexa, starting with asynchronous multiplayer gameplay via our new Shared Activities API. Alexa customers will be able to invite friends and family to play a game with matchmaking using the Alexa comms list. Player identity is handled by Alexa, so a developer simply hands off a matchmaking request to Alexa, and we will work to find the right contact in the customer's contact list. When a friend is selected, we will turn to your skill so that the player may take their turn. At Amazon, we obsess about our customers' privacy, so we'll ensure players have agreed to share their information with you for multiplayer gameplay before sending you the match. During the multiplayer round, users aren't directly connected to each other, and they don't have to be active at the same time. Instead, each user takes a turn at different times, and then Alexa shares the results of the turn with the other user in the activity. The next user performs a task, and so on. This is stored within the shared activity object, and the state, tracking who is next to take an action, is managed by Alexa. This removes the burden of building systems to track this from the developer, so more time can be spent focused on developing the gameplay itself. A shared activity allows you to create persistent, private copies of the skill state shared between two Alexa users. In a turn-based game, the shared state might include the names of the players, the current position of pieces on a board, the current score, and a record of which player goes next. The activity logic in your skill stores activity attributes in the object to share state between skill sessions of each participant throughout the life of the activity. Most importantly, with asynchronous multiplayer, a player must know when they have a new invite, or it is their turn to play. When you update your shared activity and indicate a change to the participant state, you also set a status update to describe what happened. The status update contains text and an optional image. After you update the participant state, the Alexa service generates a message to the newly active participant, inviting them to join the game or take their turn. Then, the message creates notifications on Alexa-enabled devices and a push notification on mobile devices so that a player never misses an invite or their turn to play. The message becomes a permanent part of the message history between participants in the chat view of the Alexa app. Subsequent status updates add the new text message with the latest information, giving both customers a place to catch up. As a developer, you have the ability to control when a shared activity ends, so it doesn't need to be at the end of just one game. This makes prompting for rematches and keeping your players engaged very straightforward, without needing to go into a matchmaking flow again.
Hi everyone, my name is Gaurav Varshney, and I'm a technical product manager on the Alexa Skills team. Our team is focused on building a common set of tools and primitives that helps developers deliver powerful voice experiences. I'm super excited to be with you to discuss the Shared Activities API that will allow developers in the gaming community in 2021 and later in other categories to add social experiences onto their skills. So let's start by discussing the concepts of what a shared activity entails in 2021 in the context of a simple trivia game being played by our friends Jane and John. In this scenario, John wants to invite Jane to play a game of trivia. Talking about the three biggest components of this experience, let's start with first matchmaking, which is a fully managed workflow that allows John to navigate his contact list and identify a contact to challenge. Second, turn taking, which is managing the multi-turn gameplay experience, keeping context, and managing state storage, so that your skill can keep track of both players' scores and activity and manage next steps. Thirdly, messaging. Again, a managed component that allows your skills to send the appropriate messages to both Jane and John in order to make them aware of a completed turn or end of the game. So let's begin our journey through matchmaking. Once the skill understands that John wants to play with someone, it hands over the control to the shared activities service to find a match for John from his contact list. Here's a small section of the code to look at how you can leverage our managed matchmaking component. You can hand the interaction over to Alexa by using Amazon Create Shared Activities task. Alexa will seamlessly take over and request any permissions required to share with contacts, ask for and clarify between contacts that sound similar to identify the right person that John wants to challenge. We have put a lot of energy to make sure that customer privacy, which is of paramount importance to us, is preserved while offering a rich voice experience. You will receive the intended contact's name without the need for John's complete contact list. After matchmaking and creation of the shared state object are complete, Alexa sends a response that indicates the success or the failure of the request. If successful, the response body includes the shared activity state object identifier. Here's an example of the object created. It includes several parameters. One, the shared activity ID, which is a globally unique identifier that represents the shared activity instance. Second, a list of participants and participant attributes, including their IDs, that you can use to keep track of all the activities in which the user is participating. If there are multiple activities for a user, your skill can customize the experience accordingly. You can use the participant names in the object to address them, but please note that these are ephemeral and can change if they update their names. Next, the object indicates the state of the activity, which in this case, as you can see, John is the current player and Jane is waiting for her turn. Lastly, the object also contains shared attributes, a key value semantic that could use to store custom activity data throughout the life cycle of the shared activity. Now that you have the participants set, let's talk about managing turn taking. Once John completes a turn, you need to update the activity object in order to indicate that Jane can now play, along with a notification. Here we have set John's state to waiting and Jane's state to be active. This serves as a record for you and an indication for the player who can play in the current round. As you can see, you can customize the shared attributes to keep the score or store any other attribute relevant to your game. Let's talk about the final piece, sending messages to players. When you update your shared activity and indicate a change in the participant state, you can also set a status update to describe what happened. The status update contains text and an optional image. After you update the participant state, the Alexa service generates a message to the newly active participant, inviting them to join the game. Then the message creates notifications on Alexa-enabled devices and a push notification on mobile devices. A message becomes the permanent part of the message history between the participants in the chat view of the Alexa app. One thing to note is that while you will have complete control over the message, the shared activity service will determine when and how to deliver the status update. I just want to close by pointing out that while we at Alexa are focusing on building the highest quality user experience for matchmaking and messaging, we want to give you all the right tools to customize the player journey and create a truly delightful experience. To develop a great shared activity, take some time to design the activity, determine data to store and share, and the flow of the asynchronous turn-taking. You can define different types of shared activities in your skill and store a variety of shared attributes. For example, in a game, you may want to define an attribute for play style, such as speed and survival. I'm looking forward to seeing all the amazing experiences that you build using the Shared Activities API.